to Hey Everybody,
Too.
Mother's Day Fantasy League Podcast. I'm your host, Mike. As always, I'm joined by our esteemed analyst, Dave Buck. He does the research so you don't have to. How we doing, Dave?
Hey, doing well. Happy to be here tonight. Sorry, we called out Jordan definitely on Hoosier Time. Had a little technical difficulty. We're through it. We got it going on now. You guys missed the best part of the show. It wasn't live, so I guess we'll redo it and we'll remake it right now.
Well, the good news, Dave, is that I because of our technical difficulty, I was able to figure out our issues. So let's go ahead and fix that. There it
There
is.
we go.
There's
There
our
we
new
go.
banner.
New banner for the week. So
But as we alluded to when nobody could watch because we weren't live yet, a lot going on. It is cross conference week. We got a doubleheader week. We got a lot of things going on in the league that are kind of rearing their head very soon. So Dave's going to break down some of the things that you newer guys need to know ASAP that'll help you out, especially come off season time.
yep. We are week eight right now in the NFL. I think that's week 10 and 11 in the MDFL. Two more games to go over yet tonight on the weekend. We got trade deadline just 10 days away. So a week from Thursday next week on the 7th, I believe it is, 7 o'clock trade deadline. I'll go into a little bit more detail about that, about who, who the contenders are, who the pretenders are, and if you're a pretender, how much you should be getting rid of some contracts and one-year players and what you can do with a one-year player, what a franchise tag is, what a wet tag is. Taxi squad snipes are coming to an end. Talk about that all in a little bit. But, hey, let's talk about Survivor. Who survived this weekend, Mike?
Well, the bigger question is who didn't survive because there are a lot of teams that died this week.
I thought we
As
should talk
the
about those that did survive so far.
okay,
Let's give credit to those who survived. And then we'll talk about the casualties.
absolutely.
Oh, what? Is that?
That's you and me, Dave.
Mike, oh my gosh, can you believe that? How does that happen?
Well, it happens when the Browns finally show up for the first time this year on the shoulders of a quarterback not named Deshaun Watson,
Correct.
confirming that he's trash. But also because Aaron Rodgers is washed and the Jets should never be trusted, at least for 2024. So two major letdowns there, leaving you, me, and Mike, the
Maybe
Bears
Chicago
manager.
Mike. Chicago Mike's got some work to do tonight. We'll see if we allow him to go on with Survivor tonight. And shout out to the Rams. Maybe you have a choice if they actually call a face mask in the end zone. I don't know, but they didn't call it. So game
No,
over.
that was an obvious face mask.
Yes.
But yeah, you did use up the Lions, who are easily the top one or two teams in the NFL. I really liked that Denver matchup at home against a crummy Panthers team. I really thought more teams would jump on that. So I'm happy to have the Lions still available. And I imagine the Bears probably took the Steelers, and I think they'll take care of business against a very inconsistent Giants team.
Right. So right. I mean, I'll assume. I don't like to assume because of what that stands for, but we'll assume that Mike makes the cut tonight, probably with the Steelers. Maybe we can persuade him into taking the Giants. And but anyways, there should only be two. There's going to be at least two of us, possibly three of us, going forward to next week. So.
Yep. Just for fun, I think you're still leading the pack here on Pick'em by a lot. Yeah.
Not a good week for me. I've only got 8. Both Jeff and Jordan both are gaining 2 on me. Find it interesting though, like what we talked about the Jets and the Baltimore. Everybody picked the Jets and the Ravens to win this week, and we all missed it. All missed it in our picks.
Yep. Confirmed. Mike did take the Steelers, so there's still time to talk him out of that pick.
Yeah, Mike, you can still switch to the Giants if you want.
There's time.
But you do you,
so
Mike.
there you go.
So, all right,
Dave, matchups or league stuff?
Let's go on to league stuff. I want to talk about league stuff because I think it's important. Talking to some of the NFC guys, uh, what's a franchise tag? What's a wet tag? I just want to put out a couple dates and stuff like that. What's starting to happen here after this weekend? We're going to have 11 games under our belt. Um, it's the difference between the contenders and the pretenders. You've already got the AFC is, some of the guys are already packing it in and getting rid of some high salaried or 1 year players, trying to get draft picks or rebuild for next year, younger players. For the NFC guys, I just want to highlight some of this stuff. Trade deadline is next Thursday, 1 week from this Thursday at 7 o'clock. So roughly 10 days from now, and also about 1 hour before week 10 actually kicks off in the NFL. Okay. What does that mean? That means trade deadline is over. Taxi squad snipes that we've come to accustomed to liking. At 10 o'clock that morning on the 7th, there will be no more taxi squad snipes until April of next year. So you're going to see some guys put some good players down on taxi to move some salary, to move some stuff around. Sorry you can't snipe them. Everybody's going to get excited and maybe get that hard on trying to get that one player down there, but can't get him after 10 o'clock next Thursday. Talk about trade. If you are rebuilding, okay, so if you are out of it or you think you're out of it and you want to rebuild, I want to give you a couple of things to look at. If you guys have guys on 1 year deals, okay, they are a free agent at the end of the year. You cannot re-sign them. You can't. You do have a couple options. You can franchise tag him. You can take somebody that's on a 1 year deal and you want to keep him. You can franchise tag him. Bylaws 3.9 has all the details there. But what's going to happen is his salary is going to be the top 5 at that position, or a 20% increase of what he's currently making, whatever is greater. He goes into a 24-hour auction, and if somebody wants to outbid them, then you've got the option to take their first round draft pick or take the new salary that he has, and then you can re-sign him also. We also have this thing called WET, which is a waiver extension tag. You get to sign up to 2 players that you acquired off of waivers, waiver extension tag, that's the name, and you can extend them on their contract. So if you picked up somebody on a minimum that's a starter for you and you want to keep him there, you can sign him for up to 4 years. It's a good way to accumulate some good starters that are cheap players that you picked up off the waiver list. So it's a good time to do that. Taxi squad snipes, like I said, there'll be no more sniping after 10 a.m. next Thursday. And I'm just going to highlight this. A couple of things to look like. Week 14 is going to come quick. That's going to be the start of our playoff season. Top 7 teams will advance. The number 1 seed is going to get a bye, and then then 2 through 6 are going to play in week 14. I'm also pointing out that I pointed out last week, there's a lot of players that have week 14 buys. Okay, so here's a chance to either get your team straightened out so you have those replacements. Otherwise, you are playing guys on the buys. We didn't address it as a league. We really need to do that if Goodell does this to us in the future. We got to stay away from it. 2 other things. If you don't make the playoffs, we have this thing called the Loser Bowl, okay? And that's in bylaws 9.5. And what that is that anybody who does not make the playoffs, for those 4 weeks, weeks 14 through 17, we take a cumulative high score of those 4 weeks, and whoever's got the highest score of those 4 weeks by submitting a lineup, the bonus is a draft pick, and it happens to be second round 17, 217.
Pick.
And you may think that that's not significant, but I will just tell you to back up the clock a couple of years. The first year that we did this, Miami Rich bought that or won that contest with pick 217 and went into the draft and was able to pick up a guy by the name of Laporta. He's a tight end for the Lions. So there is talent for that 217 pick. The other thing to look at, and player holdouts. This is going to be something new for you, new guys. Bylaws 311. If your player is one of the top 5 point getters in that position, you say yes, and he's on a cheap salary, forget it. He's probably going to be a holdout if he's not on a rookie contract. And how that's going to look is if he's in the top 5, he's going to get holdout, and he's going to get a raise, and he's going to have the average of the top 10 in salary, and then you'll get to choose whether you want to keep him or not. Some people in the league, they get Purdy, who's right there at that number 5 spot. He's just a few points better than Jordan Love last year, and Mike ends up scrapping him and letting Purdy go because he's too much of a tightwad, doesn't want to pay $17 million for a quarterback. So,
a quick detail in that note too is that your holdouts are based off of 17 weeks, not 18 weeks.
Correct.
So important to note, because had it been 18 weeks, Jordan Love would have held out on Dave instead of Brock Purdy holding out on me. So that 1 week makes a massive difference.
Yep. And I'll just say that week 18, we don't play week 18, so nothing counts in week 18. Most of the NFL teams, if they've already made the playoffs, usually set their players and stuff like that. The other thing is, if you are out of playoff contention at week 14, if you don't want to participate or you forget to set your roster, there is no roster violations, and you don't have to play for that pick 217. Some people throw in the towel at that time, but it is a good opportunity just to stay plugged in and try to get that pick 217. So I want to share that with the NFC guys. AFC guys, you should know it. It's in your bylaws. You're a third year for it. Some of the NFC guys I've talked about. You've inquired about some of my players that are on really cheap contracts. Damar Hamlin, who's a really cheap safety right now, and I'm like, nope, he's going to be a wet. And somebody said, what's a wet? And I had to explain it, so I thought I would explain it as a group. So anyways, it's in your bylaws. Check it out. It's much more knowledgeable than what I am. So
yeah,
go ahead.
Good info, Dave. I was just going to say it's even in year 3, I still have questions sometimes. I find myself coming back to these bylaws. So don't think that if you have questions midway through year 1 that you're not grasping it. I'm still in year 3 and I still got to reference the bylaws sometimes.
So,
couple notes about things you mentioned. The extensions, you can extend a guy the offseason before the final year of his contract, but it dings you for the final year of his contract plus the first year of his contract. Am I correct?
Correct. Yep. It's an extra 15%. So if any of your 2-year players or more, you got that opportunity to re-sign him, but it's going to cost you a re-sign year of 15%, and then you can decide how much longer you want to extend him. So
yeah, so technically it'll show the final. If we're still in the previous offseason, it'll show they have 2 years, even though they technically only have 1 year. You have to make that decision before the league flips over to the new calendar year.
Correct.
And you can extend somebody that has 1 year expiring contract. Second, those waiver extension tags, those things are so valuable. You can find some of your best players that way. I found Brock Purdy his rookie season in week 14, and we all know how he turned out. I had him on veteran minimum. So that is why waiver extension tags are very valuable.
Yep.
Use both of them every year, because a lot of times you can get guys on veteran minimums.
Yep, exactly. Good point, Mike. All right, you ready to jump into week 8 or week 10 and 11?
Am.
Okay.
So
I was going to kick it off with the trades. We got a couple, not quite as many trades as what we had last week, but we do have a couple trades to go over. In order, the biggest one for me, I guess, is taxi sniped the Falcons, the Eagles. I taxi sniped Laporta from the Eagles, gave him a first and a second. Maybe a little salty, but I don't think he was going to take a whole lot less. And I'm in here for the long haul, and I think Laporta has a better year than what he's got going on right now. So
you're right. He's only upside from here.
Yep. So anyways, it cost me a little bit, but I like it. And he scored a touchdown for me this week. So thank you, Shannon. Thanks for keeping him fresh for me. Broncos and Colts had a trade this week. Broncos gave up running back Zach Moss and wide receiver Christian Kirk. The Colts gave up running back Austin Eckler and Javonte Williams. The Browns and the Dolphins had a trade. Of course, Dan is always trading. The Browns, Dan gave up Trey Palmer, Joey Bosa on the move, and Fred Warner. The Dolphins, in return, give up, don't understand this, but a pair of Indianapolis Colt running backs, Tyler Goodson and JT, and they gave up the big linebacker Frank Louvu. So, Saints and Vikings. Saints moved a safety and Jordan Whitehead in return for a 2025 sixth-round pick from the Vikings. And then we got to deal with the Packers and the Cardinals, and I question this one after the first one. The Packers give up Zeke Elliott, sorry about that, cornerback Lenore, and a 2025 seventh. And the Cardinals gave up Amari Cooper. So gave up 3 players to get Cooper. Check the stats for Cooper. I think Cooper had like 1 reception for like 15 yards or something like that. So maybe 3 points or something like that for the week. So initially not a good deal, but he does have Jeff now has Zeke for the next 2 years if he wants him that, and a good cornerback. And then we got another trade with the Dolphins and the Raiders. Dolphins are saying, hey, they're calling things in. Doesn't quite look like it yet. Dolphins are giving up Cody Barton, linebacker, another linebacker in Jalen Johnson, and a 2025 third and a fourth in return for running back Tyrone Tracy and Jacoby Cowing and linebacker Devin Bush. I don't like you guys trading teams to players that I have to play against this week. So I saw that trade go down, and I'm like, crap, now I got to face against Cody Barton, and thankfully, I think he only went off for like 6 points, but I was afraid he was going to put a 30 spot on me with after the Raiders had just picked him up. But that's what we have for transactions this week.
Obviously, he's hoping Devin Bush bounces back, but Tyrone Tracy looking like some good upside, especially for next year.
So let's get to the games here.
Okay. All righty. So
started off in Kansas City here.
Yeah, I guess so. I am going to beat the Saints here. Wait a minute. Jeez, if this will, there we go. I have Keanu Bitten left, and Azeez Ojulari and Tyler Nubin. That's 3 defensive players from the Giants. That tells you how bad my defense is. But I somehow did not. I activated Buckner, and I swear I got him in the lineup at 12:30, but apparently that didn't happen. Wouldn't have mattered because I'm going to beat the Saints, but then I'm going to lose to the Panthers. I'm splitting regardless.
Yep. The Saints came in at 1-8. They're going to fall to probably 1-10 on the weekend. Lost there to Carolina, and you're going to split with the Saints, so 1-1 on the week. So you're going to walk out of that week sitting 4-7.
Yeah, I don't like it. So I have guys available. DeForest Buckner's one of them. He just got reactivated, and he was a top 3 defensive tackle. I'll have you know. Anyway, I'll stop pitching trades. Let's move on.
So you're a Colts fan here. We can talk about Carolina's quarterback there. AR.
I'm concerned. Now, I don't think the play calling has been very good. I think they are not pushing the RPO as much as they should. That is clearly the way that Anthony Richardson is going to be the most successful. They're trying to force him to be a pocket quarterback, and he's not a pocket quarterback. So I don't like the play calling, but also I'm concerned because he's still missing easy throws, and his touch on short to medium throws is poor. And so even the people defending him saying that he's getting a lot of drops, I would say that's because he's making a lot of throws difficult that should not be. So I'm concerned, but he's still very young, and who knows?
Are you going to address the fact that he took himself out for a play because he was tired?
Oh, it's a bad look. It's a bad look for a 6'5", 240-pound, 21-year-old. It's a terrible look.
I'm tired. So
for one play.
For one play.
For one play.
So does Joe Flacco get the start there?
I'm
for us Pittman owners, we want to know that.
Well, the coach said evaluating. I'm not convinced they make the move yet because I still say this is what you signed up for when you drafted him. You knew this was a development project. You knew he was inexperienced. You
Mhm.
knew he was raw, and he still has less than 10 NFL starts under his belt. So,
But if
you
you're
know,
the Colts, do you try to win out this year? And if Flacco gives you that best opportunity to win, do you play him? And then when you're out of the playoff hunt, then throw AR back in there?
I'm still okay riding out the Richardson experiment for the remainder of this year. I was committed to that when they picked him. And when he got hurt last year, I said, okay, we start him all of this year and see what happens. The problem is it almost looks like he's regressing. His best game was week 1. So I am concerned. And it's a terrible look to have your team captain taking himself out for 3rd and goal.
Yep.
Ah, okay. And now
Anyways,
that
now that
I've
I got your blood pressure up, let's move forward.
wiped my tears away here. Yeah. I mean, maybe he's a bust. It's too early to tell. He's still younger than Caleb Williams. So,
Caleb,
and James
Caleb, who
Winston.
did he have a weekend this weekend? Nope.
Uh, uh,
Anyways, we start with Cincinnati, Washington here. Nick's 8-1 against Dan and the commies sitting at 6-3. Nick's up by 30. He's got Pickens left. Washington's got 2 players left: Newbin, safety, and linebacker Patrick Queen. Not quite enough. Probably not enough for Commanders to get this done. Cincinnati Nick's going to get another win there.
I don't know. I mean, as much as Nick is gloating towards the crowd, maybe the Commanders have a Hail Mary in them here.
That would be sweet, wouldn't it? I took a little bit of crap, and when Nick posted that the show's going to be on, he's going to hear me crying and stuff like that. Here's my cry to Nick. Okay, dude, I'm going to be 6-5 after this weekend. If I was running your schedule, I'd be 9-2. So I'd be 9-2 right there with you. So I wish I had the Bengals schedule, but I don't. I'm in the tough NFC.
Oh, he's saying easy schedule. Oh my.
So anyway,
Although
Cincinnati and the Giants. Here, Nick's coming in 8-1. He's up by 50 points. Of course, he still has Pickens. Giants have only got 1 player left, and that's Deshaun Elliott. Just not going to get it done. Right here, Nick. This is the little violin. So, anyways, Nick's going to go 10-1. I'm probably going to do my best to keep the Raiders 10-1 to keep you honest, so you don't get that number 1 seed. So we'll talk about that later. So,
man, man. If only Nick wasn't able to pick up a top tier running back before the season started. Moving on.
Anyways, no comment. Here we go. We got Washington again against Pittsburgh. Jim's coming in at 3-6. Giving the win here to Washington. He's got his 2 players left. Steelers got 1 player left. Pittsburgh tight end Freiermuth, tight end for him. Not going to be enough when he's down by 58 points. So chalk one up to Washington. He's going to go at least 1-1 unless he pulls off some miracle. I'm rooting for you, Dan. Even though you're in the NFC, I'm rooting for you, dude.
Okay, Steelers and Giants. Looks like the Giants will pull this one out.
Yep, Steelers and Giants. Caleb's up by 38 points. They both got 1 player left. Again, safety Deshaun Elliott and tight end Freiermuth. They should push points or whatever, but not enough to overcome the 38-point difference. Both the Steelers and Giants are going to walk out of this game 3-8 after this weekend.
And with the Browns and Cowboys, unfortunately, someone has to lose this one.
This is a bad beat. Unfortunately, this weekend, the scheduler was not good to us, so I'm going to apologize to Dallas here. Dallas has got a good week going on. He came in 5-4, put up 330-plus points. The problem is Cleveland Dan's got a better team this week, and Dan came in at 4-5. He's up by 24. They both got 1 player left. Deshaun Elliott versus Fitzpatrick. Safety Fitzpatrick probably not enough to overcome that 54 points. Just a really tough loss for Dallas this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we've got quite a few of these bad beats. Normally, 330 points will win you a game or two. But we got some scores that are probably going to be in the 340s, 350s, 360s that may come up with losses tonight.
Good strategy here not to go with a 3-4 defense and start three corners when you have Drew Tranquil on the bench. I wish I had that kind of linebacker depth.
So,
anywho, okay, moving on. Wow, Brown's going to sneak one out here.
And this is just a bad draw for the Eagles. Shannon puts up 352 points, and he finds himself negative, down by 3 points to the Browns. So Shannon's going to go 1-1, but this is one of those bad beats we were talking about. Kudos to Dan putting up the good points this weekend. So it's a good weekend for Dan. He's going to go 2-0, and against two good teams that played this weekend. He beat a team with 331 points, another one with 352 points. So Dan doing it with style this weekend.
Over to the Ravens and the Cowboys. Ravens, do they have enough firepower to pull this off?
They do not. Not firepower, but a lot of foot power. Dallas is up by 53 points on this. He's got Fitzpatrick back, or still left. Baltimore's got two players. Just happens to be his kicker and his punter. So those two could probably kick ass, but not going to kick enough points to make a difference.
I know I said it before, and I don't think Donnie watches, but Donnie, if you can run a 3-4 defense and start four linebackers, do it. You're always going to get more tackles and score more points than corners are, unless you got elite corners. I'd still start middle tier linebackers over elite corners.
But Donnie, do not do that when you play me, okay? I would prefer that you play 11 corners. That'll work for me.
I may have a crappy team this year, but I can give good advice at least, damn it. All right. Eagles,
Baltimore,
yes.
Philly here. This one is same as over. Shannon with the good week of 352. Gavin's all he's got left is his kicker. The bad news, as well as Gavin was doing on a roll, he's going to go from 5-4, take 2 losses this week, and go to 5-6. And Cleveland Dan's going to jump him in the standings and in the playoff race this week. So those two are going to flip position in the number 2, 3 in the AFC North.
Ooh. Jets and Rams. Is there some intrigue here?
There is some interest here. Braxton's up by 7. Braxton's up by 7, and he's got plenty of firepower left in Najee Harris. And the Rams have got I can't even pronounce his name. Akurik, the linebacker from is he the linebacker?
Oh, it won't even show me on this page.
I'll find it. Not good at pronouncing his last name. Maybe is it who's he got?
That's okay, we probably butcher a lot of names.
Anyways, he's up by 7. I don't think he's got enough to overcome Najee in the 7 points, so I'm giving this one to Braxton and the Jets. So,
yeah, it looks like it.
So,
okay, Jets and Cards, and looks like the Jets should have enough to flip this one.
Yes, Jets have got enough to flip it, especially when he's down by 3 and he's got Najee. Jeff, and this is one of those things where Braxton. I don't know what Braxton's going to get out of Najee this weekend, but 290. If he gets 10, 15 points, Braxton's going to go 2-0 this weekend. So sometimes the schedule just isn't fair, but there it is. Braxton's going to double his win column this weekend, go from 2 wins to 4 wins.
Dolphins and Rams. Is
this one will be also interesting. Currently, the Rams are up by 29. Rich comes in. He's got 2 players left, either a flex of Tyrone Tracy or Darius Slayton, one of those two, both giant players. and big old TJ Watt. So very easy. I mean, I don't want to say easily. This could be flipped around, especially if TJ Watt has one of his typical nights and scores 20 or 30 points. So I'm not going to call it yet, but I'll call it a toss-up.
Interesting.
The interesting thing on this is Rich has got an opportunity to possibly go 2-0 this weekend, and he's the one throwing in the towel, saying he's going to play for that 217 pick. Rich could find himself in the middle of the playoff race if he doesn't watch out. So
is that a deke?
So
psyching everybody out.
He likes that
it.
217 pick, and it's like, I don't know. He was complaining that he has got too many linebackers on that week 14 bye. So that brings us up to the next game, which is Miami and Arizona. Arizona's done. He's up by 39 points. But again, he's got TJ Watt and one of those flex. Both, very doable for 39 to get those 39 points. Obviously, if it's a low scoring game and TJ Watt doesn't deliver, Rich can go 0-2, but he also could go 2-0.
I guess I see some pretty weak wide receiver depth here for him, especially if Evans is out for the season.
Yeah, Evans is out for the season, and I think he had a Goodwin also, and I think he may have traded him away, or he might be on the IR. So,
well, maybe I know why he's shopping me for a flex then.
So, might also be why he's throwing in the towel.
Yeah, maybe.
And here we go.
Let's talk, Rich. Let's talk.
Okay, so here we've got one of our this year's top trash talkers, Joey. Patriots are final, but he's up by 43 points. Seattle, Josh, he's got one player left, and that's a linebacker, Micah McFadden. Not going to happen. Probably not going to go for 43 points unless something stupid happens. So Joey should walk out with the win right there. Which takes
Patriots and Niners, 5 left, but 122
points. Joey's up by 122 points. San Francisco's got 5. One of them's the coach, one of them's the offense. Defensive tackle Cameron Haywood, Joey Porter, and another player. Probably not enough to overcome 122 points, especially when one of them is the coach and one of them is the offensive line. So kudos to Joey. Joey's going 2-0 on this week. Of course, he's already tooted his horn, saying he's right there in the thick of things. So Joey should move to 8-3 this week.
The Bills and the Seahawks. Ooh, this one's close.
This one will probably flip. It could flip. I'll leave it as a toss up right now. Jeremy and his Bills come in 7-2. Seattle sitting 2-7. Josh and his Seahawks are up by 5. Like we said earlier, he's got his linebacker McFadden left, and Buffalo, he's got defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence playing, and a safety Fitzpatrick. As well as I do that, sometimes a defensive tackle will go for zeros. So, if McFadden puts up, 15, 20 points tonight, do those two players necessarily get 20 or 25 points? Might not happen. So this one might be too close to call right now, even though that Jeremy's got 2 players left.
Interesting. And this one here looks like this one's over.
This one's pretty much over. Jeremy's up by 74 here. We've already talked about the 5 players that the 49ers got left. Not enough firepower to come up with those 74, nor was it enough to come up with the 122 points he's facing Joey. So bad news for San Francisco 49ers. Matt, you're probably going to lose them both tonight and drop your league from 6-3 to 6-5. Probably going to tighten some things up with the Rams in your division. So that's why I said this week is very interesting. It's tightening up, and it's also us giving some distance between the contenders and pretenders. So,
man, looks like the Jags are going to take down the Packers.
Yes. Sorry, Mike, and your Packers. I don't see it in the cards for you. You're down by 40 points. Your undefeated season is on the line. The 72 Dolphins are ready to pop that cork if you take a loss. So, anyways, Jacksonville. Eric's got, by the way, happy birthday, Jags. It's your birthday today. So have a good one. Jags are up by 40 points. A lot of firepower left. He's got defensive end Brian Burns, McFadden, and Patrick Queen left in his linebacker. So good defensive players to have to be generating some points. Green Bay's got two players. He does have Najee Harris back and Raheem Nunez Roaches, but not enough to overcome the 40 and the fact of what the Jags have left over to play. So
then in that case, he should overcome the Vikings here as well.
He will. Here's another one. This is a really bad beat for Hayden and his Vikings. Normally 337 does you really good. But Jags, when Jags are all done with it night, will probably be in the 350, 360 range, if not higher than that. Bad draw for Vikings, and Jags are going to go 2-0 on the weekend, and all of a sudden he's going to go, take that record from 5-4 to 7-4. He's already leading the division, so he's getting ready for his playoff run.
I think he's right too. I feel like we've said bad beats in regarding to his team many times this season.
Yep, and actually that is true. That Hayden has one of the highest scoring teams in the league. That's why that schedule is so important. I mean, if you get one of the top 3 or 4 scores every week, but you're playing guys who are getting that first and second highest score, it goes down by a loss. So.
Man, there's some studs on this team. Don't give up. You got good players here.
Yep.
Every time I scroll up, I lose where I'm at.
Tennessee, Green Bay next.
Yeah, there we go.
Here we go. Green Bay's going to get back on the cart here, start a new winning streak. He's up by 36 here. He's got his 2 players left, and Najee Harris and Raheem Nunez. And Tennessee's got 2 players left also, Highsmith, and probably playing the rookie linebacker Peyton Wilson, but probably not enough to overcome that 36 plus whatever Green Bay's going to get. So,
There's the one time I'll be interested in seeing the Packers win again.
So,
yeah, it looks like he doesn't have enough to take Hayden out here, so he's going to go 1-1.
Even though Hayden had the bad beat, he's got a good win right here. He's up by 88 points. Tennessee's got the 2 players left. Dustin, our Super Bowl champ from just 2 years ago, going to fall to 3-8 on the year.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Things can change quick when you got salary caps involved.
Well, I believe that first year he had Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase as his 2 top receivers.
Yeah.
So.
Yep, and still paying Patrick Mahomes $35 million too.
Yep.
And looks like the Bears are going to come back and beat the Colts here pretty easily.
Yep. Jason came in at 1-8. Bears came in at 5-4. Kudos to Jason. He's up by 3 points, but that's not going to hold. The Bears got 2 players left. He's down by 3. He's got Darius Slayton and some guy called T.J. Watt. So plenty of firepower for Mike and his Bears. So he's going to get a victory there. This one's going to flip.
And the Lions are going to take out the Colts here as well.
Yep, this one is over. Again, Jason's out of players. Detroit, Jordan, he's already up by 7 points. He's got 1 player left, and that's his defensive end, Highsmith. So Jordan's going to get the victory there.
Bears and Texans, looks like the Bears are going to pull away tonight.
Yep, and the Bears will go 2-0 this weekend. Houston's got 1 player left, Cameron Hayward on that, but the Bears are up by 35, plus that guy named Watt still left in his back pocket. So Chicago Mike, he's going to go 2-0 on the weekend, going to go 7-4. The interesting thing about this weekend is both the Bears and the Lions are going to go 2-0 to go to 7-4 on the conference. Packers still leading that thing, going to be 10-1. And then I think Hayden's right there with them also. What is Hayden going to be? Hayden's going to be 6-5. So that NFC North, very tight division right now. It'll be interesting to see how interleague or interconference, interdivision plays for them three. Again, they all have to play each other one more time in the upcoming week. So they'll be battling that out for tiebreakers and everything else. So in case you don't know it, first tiebreaker is head-to-head. Obviously, we play two games, so a 1-1 split is not going to help you. And then a division is your second tiebreaker, and then we go to points. So whoever's going to win that division may play out big on who gets a wild card or who doesn't. So.
And same thing here. The Lions are going to pull this one out.
Yep, and here Detroit's up by 45. All Josh has left is Cameron Haywood. Josh is going to fall to 4-7, and Jordan's going to jump up to 7-4.
Some intrigue here. Can the Panthers pull this off?
Yeah, he does. I think he does. Sorry, Sean. You're up by 23 right now. Carolina's got 2 players left. He's got a flex in Tyrone Tracy, and he's got the defensive end, Brian Burns. I think Burns probably gets the 23 points himself that he needs. But
probably
quietly, I'm going to root not to. So if I say yes, he does, maybe he'll get jinxed and it won't happen. So trying to keep up with Carolina, and I'm having a hard time doing that.
I'm curious, though. Wow, he does not really have other quarterback options.
No.
And so that is going to be very interesting if the Colts do decide to make a move. This severely hurts him down the stretch.
Well, he does have Danny Dimes, Giants quarterback.
Ooh.
So
in other words, he doesn't have franchise quarterbacks. Got you. Yeah, that's rough. That could really affect him down the stretch. But as we've seen, the Broncos won a championship streaming quarterbacks through the whole playoff. So maybe somebody gets hurt. Adam's able to pick up backup quarterbacks and win the thing. So never know. You never know.
I believe Jameson Winston may still be out there on the free agent list, and he put up big numbers this week. So
yeah, he did. That's you better be careful about announcing that. All right, so looks like Dave is safe here at least.
I feel safe here. I'm up by where am I at here? I'm up by 71. Jared's got 2 left. Cornerback Deontay Banks and linebacker Okaric. I think it is.
Yeah.
Tough weekend for Jared. He's one of the teams that have already packed it in, selling off and accumulating draft picks for next year. He's going to fall down to 2-9. I probably should have highlighted this. I didn't exactly highlight it. We do have a nice gift for the one who has the worst record in the league. Jason has worn it, and so has Aaron. We have a pink license plate that says "I suck at fantasy football" for those who have whoever has the worst record in the league. They get this nice pink license plate. So.
Yeah, that is Okaric. Yep, I got
you. Okaric.
Yep.
Hooked on phonics doesn't work for me.
Yeah, I think he had to correct people because we were pronouncing it wrong for a while even.
I don't care. He's not on my team. I'll just call him linebacker Bobby.
Yeah, there you go. So, how about here? Looks like you're safe here too. Wait.
Sorry, Chargers, Buccaneers. Buccaneers. Buccaneers are up by 48 points. Again, Chargers got 2 players left. Not enough to happen, but the Buccaneers are getting a win out of this one. So.
This one here, has he got enough? Has he got 12 points tonight?
He's got 1 player left. Some wide receiver called Neighbors.
Ooh.
And yeah.
Ooh.
So I'm hoping the Steelers can shut him down. No touch. If obviously he gets a touchdown tonight, it's over. Yeah, Nick, you're going to hear me cry. I'm going to put up 359 points. I'm not even sure if that's your high score this year yet. But anyways, 359 points might cost me a loss again. Being one of the top 3 top scorers every week has not been good for me. Same thing with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay put up 336 points this week, and he's going to walk out with a loss to the Raiders. So, give it to Matt and his Raiders. He's the real deal. hate to say it, I'll give credit to Aaron where it is. Aaron built the team, but Matt's managing it. I'm not sure that Aaron could manage the team like Matt is, and I'm not sure that Matt could draft the team like Aaron did. But obviously, it has worked for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah.
They're 8-1 with a real good opportunity to go in 10-1. The only golden lining for me is if I do lose this game, Matt goes to 10-1 and he stays right there with Nick, also at 10-1, so we can keep Nick honest so he doesn't get that number one seed in the AFC.
I guess I'll just root for the Raiders so that way if 2 out of 3 years the AFC wins it, it's not division pride, but at least I can say, well, I lost to them twice and that was 2 of my 10 or more losses this season. Ugh, that sounds awful.
But I will highlight one thing on my game. Click back over to my Raiders Atlanta game. So I'm off the grid yesterday all weekend because I was racing, and so I knew that Higgins was possibly going to be out, so I had a chance to run to the motorhome, flip the phone open, or I turned it on, and I see T. Higgins is going to be out, which I knew he was pretty much going to be out. Okay, so I changed my receivers. I pull Tillman out of my receiver. McConkey is questionable at the time, so I pull both of those guys out of it. Playing Tillman is just too risky of a player of a play with the Browns. So I put Laporta in, who I had some confidence in, even though he was going up against the Titans, who were the number one defense against the tight ends, least amount of points allowed. And so I thought I would go with Pearsall because, all the receivers in San Francisco were banged up. And I ended up taking 4 touchdowns off of my offense and putting them on the bench. So, yeah, two receivers that went for 30-plus points, I pulled out of my lineup at about 12:30. So I totally suck at this game. Totally suck.
Tough to make the call to start both of those guys, though. I mean,
I was almost there due to injury. I mean,
yeah.
I wouldn't have started him because of Higgins, and I didn't like the matchup that Laporta was getting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
and McConkey for the longest time it was questionable with hip injuries.
Right.
And then he has his best game he's had so far in the NFL.
Well, he's happy, so
yeah, you can enjoy that one, Matt. Yeah, that one's on me. If I ever figure out this game, I'm never going to win at this game because I like to trade too much. So, thus the Jamar Chase and the Kobe Dean's trade still haunts me. So.
On the other hand, I need to trade more, and especially with a team that has no shot, inquire within. I've got some pieces.
So anyways, that's a recap of this week's games. I will highlight this tomorrow in a new power ranking, but I will also put out a standings, a playoff race standing. So I'll start to do that weekly. So don't quote me on this one yet, but this is starting to shake out pretty good. This is what I'm starting to see in the AFC. Raiders and Bengals are probably going to walk out of this weekend at 10-1. Buffalo's either going to be 9-2, 8-3. Jags probably going to be 7-4. That's your 4 division winners, division leaders right now, which will get a playoff spot. And then the Patriots probably going to be at 8-3. Miami 8-3 or 7-7. Browns should be at 6-5. That's your playoff teams right now, as it's represented in the AFC after this weekend shakes out. A little bit more complicated in the NFC. Yes, the Packers are up there 10-1 with the Panthers, Washington, and San Francisco as your division leaders. But we have the Philly, and then we get into the playoffs, the wild card spots where there's only 3 available. And we got Philly, the Bears, and Detroit all sitting 7-4. And then we got Minnesota, Atlanta, and Dallas all sitting 6-5. So very much up in the air what's going to happen in the NFC in that playoff race. So the AFC is starting to get a little distance between the top and the bottom. NFC is really jumboed up right in the middle.
Oh, the intrigue. It is getting interesting for sure.
So.
Okay. Well, I think that pretty much does it for our show tonight. Anything else you want to sign off with here, Dave?
Yeah, I want let's take a look at high score players.
Oh yeah, I was going to do that.
We always try to highlight that and who did what.
Yeah, it looked like Hurts, Bo Nix, and CeeDee Lamb were your big scores this
Yeah,
week.
CeeDee Lamb went off last night. That irritated some people like the Rams last night. So
Jameis
Bo
Winston.
Nix did well last night. I think the NFC owner in that one kind of left him on the bench, I believe. So I could be wrong on that one.
McConkey, and this is why I can't even crack 250. Not even a guy in the top 30. Ugh,
So
what a terrible season.
well, it's better than having two guys on that list that you have sitting on your bench.
Well, at least
I
you
mean,
can
you need
own
wide
those
receiver help.
players for future weeks, though.
So just
Uh,
crazy.
yeah, it is a wild year for sure.
So, anyways, it's a good weekend. I'll also try to give an update. I don't know exact. I did not do the math on who has the slight lead, AFC versus NFC, and the interleague stuff. Like I said, going into this weekend, I knew NFC was like 2 games ahead. It's split pretty good the way it worked out, but we'll see.
Oh my gosh, did Kate Otten finally do something?
He had two
He's got
touchdowns.
he's got a few weeks of doing something. Okay,
Well,
I'm thinking of a different thing
keep in
then.
mind the Buccaneers are without their top two receivers, so all of a sudden,
Yeah,
Kate Otten, that should be a must play now.
and all of a sudden, Rashad White is getting a whole lot of targets too. Take note, AFC general managers.
If you're trying to move him, but some of us
Yeah,
still like
yeah,
Bucky.
yeah. I know.
I like him just for the name same.
Oh, yeah, indeed.
Yep.
Okay. All right, guys. That has been our week 10 and 11 doubleheader coverage. So that means you got to join us next week for week 12. I will still be out of it. Dave will still be in the thick of it. And
I'll be
for
losing to
those,
the top scorer. So whoever I'm playing next weekend, I guarantee you're going to have one of the top 3 scores. So I'm not sure who's on my schedule. I think it might be the Bears. I think I might have the Bears next week. So Mike, if that is you, kudos to you and having one of the top scores next week.
we already faced off, so I think you're safe.
So,
Uh,
anyways, trade deadline again coming up in 10 days. If you're not in there, start to reboot for next year. If you want to make a playoff push, now's the time to do it this week and then the start of next week. Time is going to run out quick. I gave you the idea, gave you who you should be hanging on to on those 1-year contracts, unless you're going to franchise tag them or wet tag them or whatever. So, any questions, reach out to Nick or myself or do a little bit of reading on the bylaws. So, hey, we got a football game going on tonight. Steelers and the Giants going off in about 20 minutes.
Go Giants, so that it's just me and Dave in survival.
That would be great, wouldn't it? Then we could talk about splitting that and starting another one, right?
Yeah, there we go.
That would be good. So,
all right, guys. Thanks everybody that chimed in. We will see you next week.
see you guys. Thanks a lot.